What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and a bit of Jordan Peterson news. He has challenged Justin Trudeau over social media censorship bill. Now, this is something I covered on this channel, important specifically to my Canadian viewers, America's hat or America's shirt, depending on who you ask. But this is important because this type of online censorship is exactly what many in the administration here in America would love to see. Now, Dr. Peterson has challenged Justin Trudeau, saying, quote, "Just try and regulate my YouTube channel. See what happens." Dr. Jordan B. Peterson took to Twitter on Wednesday to critique the controversial Canadian censorship bill, Bill C-10, by the way, which passed. It's currently being pushed forward by the Liberal government as being spearheaded, I thought it had passed anyway, by Heritage Minister Stephen Don't Care. If passed, the bill would regulate all Canadian social media users to impose CRTC restrictions on content. Jordan P. Peterson says, "How about we don't do this, Canada? I hate this move." The celebrated Canadian psychologist also took aim at the CBC. Quote, "I have 1 million more subscribers than our national broadcaster, CBC. So does that make me a broadcaster to be regulated by Trudeau's pathetic minions? Or does it just indicate that CBC is a failure despite the fortune it takes in public subsidy? CBC, your heavily subsidized but once admired and credible state broadcaster, is now ideologically addled, propagandistic, outdated, and increasingly despised or ignored. And now you dare to extend your incompetent governance to other media forms." Bill C-10 initially exempted user-generated content from being subject to regulation, but this clause was recently and abruptly removed. Following the alteration of this bill, multiple experts voiced serious concerns over the new effects, including now former commissioner of the CRTC itself. In an interview with the National Post, former CRTC Commissioner Peter Menzies said that Bill C-10 doesn't just infringe on free expression, it constitutes a full-blown attack upon it, through it, and the foundations of democracy. Dr. Peterson, by the way, this is all via the Post Millennial, excellent website, really on top. It's one of my go-to websites every day, so you should have it bookmarked and do the same. They didn't pay for that, but I met a couple of the reporters at a convention. They were really awesome, and I find myself reading it almost every day. Dr. Peterson also directly addressed Prime Minister Trudeau, saying, "Just try and regulate my YouTube channel. See what happens." Dr. Peterson concluded his criticism with correlating this bill to Bill C-16, the controversial pronoun bill that played a role in his rise to fame. The psychologist also take Conservative MP Pierre Poilievre, I don't know, sorry, Frenchies, in one of his tweets, and made the announcement that he will soon be appearing on the Jordan Peterson podcast. Look, if you're not aware exactly what Bill C-10 is all about, I mean, I've explained it before, but this is, a true battle. And just a few minutes ago, rights of social media users upheld in Bill C-10 Department of Justice. This is just breaking now. The Department of Justice has concluded that the recent amendments to Bill C-10 would not restrict freedom of expression of social media users under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It comes as Liberals face scrutiny for removing an exemption that protects individuals' online content from proposed broadcasting acts, changes that were aimed at ensuring major social media platforms and streaming services such as Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify pay their fair share towards Canadian artists and are held to similar standards. What are these kind of standards? Well, it's stuff like you have to have a certain number of Canadian staff, you have to have like a Canadian director, there's a point system that can often be gamed, but it's kind of bizarre. It feels like something that they would do in China. In a new analysis, the department found, quote, "The effect of the proposed removal of Clause 3 is that an online undertaking that provides a social media service could be subject to regulation under the Act, respect of the programs uploaded by its unaffiliated users. However, It states a separate clause exempting individuals from being regulated remains, which means unaffiliated users of social media services would not be subject to broadcasting regulation in respect to the programs they post. The House of Commons Heritage Committee studying the bill has requested the presidents of Heritage, Minister Stephen Galblut, and Justice Minister David Lametti before MPs resume clause by clause. He's slated to appear on Friday. Now, earlier this week, he walked back comments that under the bill, Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission could impose discoverability regulations on individuals who have large enough followings online. Now, this would appeal. This would, this would be like Jordan Peterson or other large YouTubers. The problem with this for non-Canadians is that what this means is it's going to be harder for our content to be found by Canadian viewers. YouTube will be tasked with enforcing this bull, and every time we've seen YouTube tasked with enforcing some law, they do it in the worst way possible for its creators. We've seen this with COPPA, right? It literally destroyed Lego channels and hobby channels, claw machine channels that may appear to have a younger audience, but actually didn't. I had a claw machine channel that used to get 50, 75,000 views regularly, and it was completely destroyed by COPPA. And the viewers were not 8-year-olds. The viewers were adults. How YouTube will actually, be asked to enforce this stuff is what makes people scared. In a new statement sent to CTV News late Sunday night, the minister said he used unclear language when he referred to people in online channels being subject to federal regulations. In the interview, CTV's question period that aired earlier that day, the minister said that more than once that CRTC isn't going to be regulating everyday users' content. That regulator could have powers related to discoverability of online content for people whose channels have, quote, millions of viewers and are generating a lot of money on social media and are acting like broadcasters. This is the slippery language we're worried about. What we want to do, this law should apply to people who are broadcasters or act like broadcasters. So if you have a YouTube channel with millions of viewers and you're deriving revenues from that, at some point the CRTC will be asked to put a threshold. But we're talking about broadcasters here. We're not talking about everyday citizens posting stuff on their YouTube channel. Yeah, but in the same breath, you're saying, I have millions of subscribers or million subscribers. I get 13 to 15 million views a month. You could call me a professional. So I am not satisfied by this. I still think they're going to use it to impose these restrictions on Canadian content creators, as well as content creators who are viewed in Canada. My second largest audience is Canadians. And I know that this is going to negatively affect my channel. So please keep speaking out against this and at least demand more clarity on their language, because I think they're leaving it vague on purpose so they can just extend their reach, accept more money from people, and exert more censorship. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.